Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aaron and I read fantasy. Ouch, that's hot. In today's video, we're going over my top 10 in 2024 with 2 honorable mentions. Okay, there is no such thing as a top 12 list, so I do have to do these 2 honorable mentions because I can't go without mentioning these books. The first honorable mention is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Nice rhyme. Kingdom of Ash is one of those books that lives with me because of the first part of the book, where our female MC is really going through some things physically, emotionally, mentally, and we're going through them with her. And Sarah J. Maas writes this plot point in a way that feels like it's taking forever, so the reader gets a sense of agony along with what the female MC is going through. This is not a book that I have stopped thinking about even to this point. And this book actually solidified my love of fantasy romance. The thing that made me start reading fantasy romance to begin with is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And then I jumped into A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I started off 2024 with Throne of Glass, the last book being Kingdom of Ash, and this book was phenomenal. It blew me away, and I could not do a top 10 list without mentioning this, although honorably so. The second honorable mention is The Tempest of Wrath and Vengeance by Melissa K. Rorick. Melissa K. Rorick was one of my most read authors of 2024, and I loved her writing, specifically in the Lady of Darkness series. But this book from the Legacy series, The Tempest of Wrath and Vengeance, her latest release, really hit home with me. The first 2 books in the Legacy series, I liked them a whole lot, but I didn't love them. So much was happening with our female MC, and I just wanted her to be great so bad. And we finally get to see her step into her own in this latest release, and I am loving it. I can't wait to read book number 4 because it is being released this year in 2025. Now, starting on the actual list, number 10, we have Quicksilver by Callie Hart. If you have read the audio for this book out loud, you are the most daring person in the world, because the audiobook of this, the smut and the way he talks to our female MC, oh my God. There are certain books where if you hear words, you never think about the words the same again. From Blood and Ash, the word honeydew, I will never hear that word ever again. I will never hear that word the same ever again. Quicksilver by Callie Hart, the entire book, I just don't know. Our male MC, Kingfisher, never stops with the sexy banter, and it is spicy. I mean, 4 spicy chili peppers, maybe 5. This is spicy. Maybe I could do a whole list of smut books, and this would be number 1. Number 9, we have Lady of Embers by Melissa K. Rorick. This is the last and final book in the Lady of Darkness series, and I absolutely loved the series. I completely ate it up. Our female MC in this book is so brilliant, with plot after plot and scheme after scheme. And right when you think that there is no way out of a situation, this is done so well, and in a way where it doesn't feel like, okay, the author is stretching. No, this feels like all of it feels so real. It feels so possible. And there's also a mmromance that happens with the side characters, which of course I love it. You have dragon shifters in this book. You have fae. You have something in between fae. You have gods. You have angel-esque creatures. So much going on in this super immersive world. Love Melissa K. Rourke, and I couldn't do a top 10 list without her being mentioned twice, apparently. Number 8. Born of Blood and Ash. This is the last book in the Flesh and Fire series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Can we all just be honest and say that the prequel series is better than the main series? Can we really all just take a moment and be honest about it? The prequel series, the Flesh and Fire series, this should have been the main series. It is well flushed out. The plot points are clear. If we're being really honest, our female main character from Blood and Ash and our female main character in the Flesh and Fire series almost have the exact same story. The prequel story is just better, and I ate this series up. I finished all 4 of the books in the Flesh and Fire series in 7-8 days. I just could not put it down. If you saw my December reading wrap up, it was Jennifer L. Armentrout, 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 Jennifer L. L. Armentrout. And this was the best part of it. The last book, the big conclusion, so well written, so well put together, so worthy of picking up. Jennifer L. Armentrout, the Flesh and Fire series, Born of Blood and Ash. Book number 7, Heat of the Everflame. Now, this is the last book that we received from Penn Cole in the Kindred's Curse saga, I believe is what the series is called. In this house, we love Penn Cole. Penn Cole wrote some of the best queer characters in a fantasy romance novel that I have ever read. So much so to where the side characters and their romance story was so captivating that I was just, when are they coming back on the page? Of course, our female MC and our male MC, the main storyline, we love them, of course. Penn Cole's writing in the series in general is majestic, and it is something that gets better and better and better and better. Some people were not super duper fans or agreeable to Heat of the Everflame because it's the longest book. I think this book was about 1,000 pages or more. I loved it. I loved seeing our female MC become this super saiyan, super powered version of herself, as well as still being grounded. Because when characters become untouchable, can characters always need to be stakes. There always needs to be something to fight for. And Penn Cole manages to give the reader this godlike female MC, but still have stakes because there's still someone stronger than her. And there's still someone stronger even than her enemy as we know it. I am not alone, I'm sure. I don't even have to think about it. I am not alone in wanting for us to get this fourth book, but we do not have a release date for it, and it is scary because it makes me wonder, is this going to live up to the hype? There were already people that were scared about book 3. I loved book 3. Heat of the Everflame. Penn Cole can do no wrong. As far as I'm concerned, I loved it. But I'm so looking forward to the fourth book, Heat of the Everflame. This was book number 7. Book 6, One Day by David Nichols. I had no idea about this book. The Netflix series came out one day, and I saw the series last summer, and I cried. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. If you've seen the series and that last episode, just whoa, I cried. And I said, I have to read this book. I have to read this book. So I read the book. And I'm 3 or 4 chapters in the book and I'm already devastated, just crying. Day 1 by David Nichols is covering the 20-year friendship turned romance between 2 characters that met literally their last day in college at a party and developed this friendship, and they just stay together, and we follow their journey for this whole time, and we see that there is an obvious attraction. First of all, how they meet, because this is no spoiler. How they meet, like their initial intention is to hook up, and they don't hook up. They just end up talking, and even though they didn't hook up and they just talked, there's so much that we just feel. If you think that a male author cannot write a female character, David Nichols. Because the female character and the male character, it's heart-wrenching. After I read the book, I had to rewatch the series with all the context, because the book is always better than the show or the movie. I watched the series again. I just cried and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. And then, of course, I watched it the second time and I cried some more. If you have not read One Day by David Nichols and you are a romance lover, this has no fantasy, but if you are a romance lover, read One Day by David Nichols, number 6. Number 5. This author has changed my mind about a genre. And if an author can change my mind about a genre, there is no way for this not to be the most impactful, or one of the most impactful things that I read during the year. Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. The Red Rising series in general, this has me like almost wanting to change the name of the channel. Like, do I read fantasy and sci-fi? Or, it has completely opened me up. And because of this, I'm going to start 2 sci-fi series that I'll be exploring later on in the year. But this space opera has totally changed my mind about the genre, and I will be reading sci-fi. I'm not changing the name of the channel. But I will be reading sci-fi and incorporating some of that with the fantasy and the romance, And I'm super duper excited about it. Book number 4. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid to even admit this. Book number 4, The Throne of Honor and Blood by Jay Britt. I know, please don't attack me. Was this book released late? Yes. Was this book riddled with grammatical errors? Yes. Was this book... Yes. A major dump? Yes. Was this book a major info dump? Yes. Was the ending of this book absolutely insane? Yes. Do I still love this? Yes. Needless to say, but every book on this list was a 5-star, 6-star book. And yes, even with all the grammatical errors and the book being late and it being a big info dump, and the ending that came out of no fucking where, I love this book. Jay Britt, please. Jay Britt can do no wrong. Does she need to fix those errors? Yes. Does she need to come out with her book when she says she's going to come out with her book? Yes. And does there need to be better communication on that side? Yes, absolutely. But the writing, I love the writing. It was good. It was great. 5 stars. Still, not a disappointment for me. Book number 3. This is the most impactful romance book, and this is an mmromance. It was Teacher of the Year by M.A. Wardell. This author, this book, it just... It's one of those stories, excuse the cheese. It's one of those stories that makes me believe in love, that there is a person out there for everyone. And this was so special. This is an mmromance, an interracial couple. It was so beautiful. I absolutely loved it. I ate up every cheese, ate up every word. And next month, Husband of the Year, following the same couple from this first book. I will be tuned in. I will be reading. I cannot wait. This author can do no wrong. I loved it so much. M.A. Wardell, I'll read anything you write. If you want to send me anything, please do. That's always welcome. Let's see. Book number 2. So last year, I started The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, and it was impossible to do this list without incorporating Robert Jordan on here. The difficulty was actually picking which book, and each book gets better and better and better and better and better. So I just decided on the last book that I read, which was book number 8, The Path of Daggers. Please tell me where you were when you read the ending of this book with the battle that happens at the end and the betrayal that happens. Whoa. In 2025, I actually am going to finish the Wheel of Time series. I'm a little sad I didn't get to finish it in 2024. Superb writing. Robert Jordan is one of my favorite authors, period, ever. I wish he was still alive so we could still enjoy new books from this author. Perfection is a word. The number 1 book of 2024 for me was Empire of the Damned. I read Empire of the Vampire, which is book number 1, Jay Kristoff. That was my first ever Jay Kristoff read. Not even 16 hours passed before I picked up Empire of the Damned. I loved Empire of the Vampire, but Empire of the Damned, the scales. This is so good. This is another book that opened me up to a subcategory in the genre. We know I read fantasy. I love fantasy. Fantasy is my jam. But I had no idea that I was really a grimdark fantasy lover. This was everything that I needed. This was fantasy, but accessible. This was fantasy, but grab them by the
cock.
Short and curlies. This was dark. And I'm realizing like my fantasy taste leads very dark. And this was perfect. Vampires. Half vampires. Smut. Blood smut. Gore. Crass language. Crass jokes. This beautiful humor. And also beautiful romance and beautifully written female main characters by a male author. 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10, 10 billion out of 10. Can't wait for the fall of the Empire, which is being released in 2025. J. Kristoff has not yet posted a date for that, but I'm so super duper excited for this Empire of the Damned, J. Kristoff 2025. I will be reading a bunch of J. Kristoff. I absolutely love it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.